What is going on, my fellow geeks, and welcome back to Raving Geeks.
I do have a media recommendation.
I love Lord of the Rings. Superheroes, movies, a little jack of all trades, I guess.
So what makes me a geek?
What is going on, my fellow geeks, and welcome back to Raving Geeks, the weekly pop culture podcast from Central Michigan Life, where we discuss all things geek culture, which is like high culture, but better. Also, I got a comment on this intro, real quick. High culture. Just to be clear, it's like art and museums and all this stuff we think is fancy, not drug culture. Just want to put it out there. It's not getting high culture. It's just high culture. Either way, geek culture is better, but I wanted to clarify. And if this is your first time joining us, make sure you follow the CM Life Instagram and Twitter pages for updates on the podcast and to look for us wherever you find your podcasts, including YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on our website at www.cm-life.com. My name is Brendan Valentine, and I'd like to thank you all for joining me and my fellow geeks this week, who will introduce themselves in a second with our question of the week. This week's introductory question is, drumroll please, what's your favorite Pokemon? Or who is your favorite Pokemon? I will start. He or she can be either near and dear to my heart. Not for any in-game reason, not for stats, not for design, but for their Pokedex entry. My favorite Pokemon is Bagon, because this is not a direct quote, I'm paraphrasing, but Bagon likes to throw themselves off cliffs in the hopes that one day they will fly. And I find this very inspirational because once Bagon evolves into Salamence, it can learn fly and has wings. And that's why I read that Pokedex entry and I was like 8. And I was like, this is my favorite thing. And it's been my favorite Pokemon ever since. So, hosts, would one of you like to go next?
I will go next. Isaac Hunter here, host of the Raving Geeks, co-host. My favorite Pokemon, I had to think long and hard because there's so many. My favorite Pokemon is the legendary Pokemon, or actually it's mythical Pokemon now, Mew. Ever since the Pokemon movie, I just love Mew. He is literally just like this pretty much like immortal being that just floats around and plays games and can shapeshift into any Pokemon. But if we're not doing legendaries, I'm going to have to go with my man Cubone. And I'm pointing to a small toy of Cubone behind me for you listeners.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Hope Gooderl, another co-host of this podcast. So, as you all know, I'm not much of a gamer, but my favorite Pokemon, well, actually, okay, I'm going to preface with, I used to work at Build-A-Bear at 12 Oaks Mall, and at one point, Pokemon partnered with Build-A-Bear, and you could build Pokemon bears. Pikachu was one, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Eevee, Charmander, and there might have been others after I left. I don't fully remember. Bulbasaur,
that sounds like the only ones that Nintendo will promote.
I mean, it's fair. Like, they're the most well-known. And it was also about the time of Pokemon Go coming out. So we had a lot of people coming into the store being like, well, it says that there's a Pokemon here. I'm like, yeah, right here. You can get Pikachu for like $30. But Bulbasaur took up so much stuffing because he was huge. And then, you know, the bulb on top and everything. But my favorite Pokemon, I will say, is either going to be Bulbasaur because he's absolutely adorable, or Squirtle because I really like saying Squirtle a lot, and also Squirtle is adorable too.
Squirtle.
Well. Squirtle. It's just fun to say Squirtle. So yeah.
That was really good, Isaac.
Thank you.
I was gonna do the Bulbasaur one, but like that one's like scratchy, like Bulbasaur, like that one. I need to go rewatch the original Pokemon anime. I miss those. I just always see them meet.
In like first or second grade, we were writing like stories, and I wrote like a fan fiction off of Pokemon because I had like watched the TV series like one Saturday morning, because this was before I had cable, and I was like, look, here's all of the characters, and I have to go up against these other characters, and yeah, I think I still have that somewhere. So
I can't say I've ever wrote a Pokemon fan fiction. However, I do on the daily fantasize about having a Pokemon. So there is that. Also, Cynthia could punch me in the face and I'd apologize. So like, there's that. Speaking of, for those of you watching, my Zoom background today is where about the spot you first meet Cynthia in Pokemon Platinum. So that's why I really like Cynthia, my favorite trainer. So also, Hope, like, are we just gonna find out about like new jobs you had like every week or have? Because like 2 weeks ago it was like, oh, so Hope was like a theater attendant at the at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah,
and then
the
like
Fisher and the Opera House, and the Fox Theater is very stingy on who they let in, so like I can't work there. And Music Hall might be able to get into, but also like I don't know. It's a lot of like season ticket holders at Music Hall in Detroit, so they all know where they're going anyways. But yeah, gotcha. Probably if it relates.
So we'll add that to our like news section every week. It's like we need somewhere else that Hope has worked. Alrighty, well, thank you both for introducing yourselves, and now we'd like to get started with our geek news section of the week. So, do either of you have anything you really want to start with?
I feel like I should let y'all go first, just to make sure that like I actually leave news for you guys to say, because I always have so much.
I can start. So my first thing is the Flash Season 7 premiere came out this week. Since they did not get to finish filming last season, I was like anticipating this because we didn't quite get a season finale. We got, spoiler alert, for end of Flash Season 6. We got Iris disappearing, but that seemed like not like quite the season finale ending. Like you knew that she wasn't like gone. She's just having headaches. But then, like, this was a really good start to Season 7. I feel like we're back to, like, Season 2 Barry, where he's not, like... I felt like Season 5 and 6 Barry was kind of whiny. Like, I still like the show, but Season 5 and 6 Barry got kind of whiny once he married. Like, once he and Iris got married, like, I feel like he wasn't as much focused on being the Flash. He was more focused on being Barry, which is fine. But, now he's back in, like, crisis mode. Like, I gotta be the Flash. There was a lot of like really cool stuff. They retconned the whole Mirror Master thing that I was confused on, and I'm really happy about that. And overall, I was as far as Flash season premieres go, I think this is top 3 personally. That's like a big statement, but
all right.
I also have. So that was my big thing. I just wanted to like the Flash. It's been a long journey, so like I got to give it a little more than 30 seconds. But also. After WandaVision's premiere, there was a lot of hype around, well, I guess not premiere, but like after the release of episode 4, and we've got like episodes we've gotten since, there's been a lot of hype around Jimmy Woo. And one of the showrunners for WandaVision like tweeted out like, hey, like, what would y'all think of a Jimmy Woo show with like him going and solving weird cases around the MCU? And the tweet like blew up. And then like he's like, all right, the pitch meeting for Marvel is next week. And then the newest news is that famed graphic designer Boss Logic, who has done many logos for different things around geek culture, made a fan edit logo for the Jimmy Woo show. Called, well, either, I don't know if like they give it a title, but Special Agent Jimmy Woo or Mysteries of Sword, something like that. But in the past, when Boss Logic has done like a fan edit of something, like it has generally like, if that's not the like thing they use, it's pretty darn close to it. It's something that kind of foreshadows something officially being announced. However, that didn't happen when he made one for Injustice 3, which still hasn't been announced, but I'm still anticipating that game coming from NetherRealm Studios, fingers crossed. But that's just some news on that front. We could be getting a Jimmy Woo show in the MCU. And then my last little bit of geek news is fan favorite Hera Syndulla from Star Wars Rebels may be making her live action debut in Rangers of the New Republic, replacing the role that Cara Dune would have played if Gina Carano had not been fired.
Mm-hmm.
So, fingers crossed. I love Hera.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, okay. My news is, well, first of all, today, being March 4th at the time of recording, is International GM Day, as in Game Master, in honor of, at least what I had read, was Gary Gygax. He passed away March 4th in 2008. And so this is like to honor him. And as a game master myself for Dungeons and Dragons, called a Dungeon Master, that's pretty exciting. But my news is tomorrow, being March 5th, is the premiere in theaters and on Disney Plus of Raya and the Last Dragon. So that's pretty exciting. If you have a theater nearby that you're able to go see that. And then I also just wanted to mention that there is, for those that you don't know, there's an upcoming Halo TV show that's going to be on Paramount Plus, and that's pretty exciting. And they do have some of the cast already, I guess, hired. And it looks like Jen Taylor is still going to be playing Cortana's voice like she did in Halo. And that's pretty
really cool.
fun because she did a perfect job.
That's dope.
Take it away, Hope.
All right.
All right. Now for the main portion of the podcast. Hope, giving us news.
Today that we are recording is indeed March 4th, which means that it is Marching Band Day and Drum Corps Day. Sorry, not Gamer Day.
Okay. You're outvoted on this one, Hope. I'm sorry, you can't get away with that.
It is Marching Band Day. And speaking of Marching Band Day, Marching Band on steroids, Drum Corps, Phantom Regiment, who my high school band director was in Phantom Regiment a really long time ago. And so they announced their 2021 DCI show title, along with like what they're going to be playing, and auditions are open. So their show title is called Harmonic Journey. And I'm really hoping that DCI goes because I missed my drum corps and like semifinals going to that because I love drum corps. Just the brass and everything about drum corps is amazing. In the world of DC superheroes, apparently DC has said that the superhero Green Lantern has come out as gay to his 2 kids and to Wonder Woman. Yes, Brendan.
Yeah, which Green Lantern? There's a lot of them.
Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner.
Which
John
one
Stewart?
has 2 kids?
Depends on the timeline.
Here, I can.
Okay. I'll let you look that up, Isaac. It didn't specify in where I saw it. It just said Green Lantern comes out as gay to his 2 kids and
okay. It's Alan Scott, like the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
The original Green Lantern. I was like, I don't remember Hal Jordan having children. Yeah. Also, I've never heard of a storyline involving I don't know that. I mean, I guess it could be Guy Gardner. He is like kind of toxically masculine and like we could be overcompensating. But also like John Stewart, I feel like they've used enough in media that they wouldn't do. I don't know. But Alan Scott, that one actually.
Yeah.
So there we
go. The first original Green Lantern.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's
interesting. I didn't know they were still printing Alan Scott Green Lantern comics.
I guess they are, and I guess they're trying to revamp him in a way.
Which is good. I liked his incarnation of the Green Lantern. They're also they talked about him in the Stargirl TV show as well.
Okay.
So there could be some relevancy in there too. And I think he'll be in the new animated Justice Society movie.
Okay. In keeping up with comics and superheroes, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is set to wrap filming on April 23rd. And it was said that Wanda's story is supposed to get more. We're supposed to get more information in the Doctor Strange movie. So just because WandaVision is ending does not mean that Wanda's story is over. There is a new Superman movie coming from J.J. Abrams and writer Ta-Nehisi Coates. And then for Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Rachel Zegler, who played Maria in Steven Spielberg's adaptation, 2021 adaptation of West Side Story, has joined the cast, as it's still an unspecified key role, though. And then we've got Blue Beetle. So Angel Manuel Soto, Charm City Kings, will direct the DC superhero focused on the Jamie Reyes version.
Jaime Reyes.
Jaime.
Yeah.
All right. Hi. I apologize for mispronouncing that. I didn't know.
You're good.
Jaime Reyes version of the character of Blue Beetle.
Woo!
This is like a live-action movie?
Based on the picture, it shows still animated, but it
Okay, that's fine. I like Blue Beetle.
Yeah, I love Blue Beetle.
George Clooney and Julia Roberts are set to star in an original romantic comedy from Ol Parker, who did Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. And I think the title is Ticket to Paradise for their rom-com. James Gunn has said that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is set to begin filming soon. So it's set to begin. And then, all right, I think that's it for as far as superhero news. Although, you know, George Clooney and Julia Roberts, not superhero news. But still. As far as podcasts go, because there is a podcast that I am looking forward to listening. There's a new podcast called Renegades Born in the U.S., and it is President Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen, who are hosts of the podcast. And I am really looking forward to listening to their podcast because it just seems really interesting.
Yeah. Bruce Springsteen, yeah.
Yeah. So if you liked Ty Sheridan in the new X-Men movies as Cyclops, or you're a fan of Lily Rose Depp or Colin Farrell, there is a new movie coming out April 9th called Voyagers, and it looks really interesting. It's set in outer space, and like they like all the kids have to take like this blue liquid, and then of course they're teenagers, so they rebel and they're like, no, we're not taking this, and chaos ensues. So that looked really interesting.
Wasn't there already a space movie called Voyagers with Chris Pratt and Jennifer? Oh, that's Passengers.
Yeah.
No, there is a Voyagers stuff, but with pirates. It looked like there's a book series that this might have been based on. I could be wrong, though.
It looks really interesting, and I was like, it's set in space, and they're kind of in a confined space ship a lot of times, so I was like, that'll get really interesting.
Ender's Game.
Yeah, really. There is news in the Harry Potter world, especially in the franchise world. So, the Fantastic Beasts third movie is currently set to arrive in theaters July 15th of next year. And it apparently has an entirely new villain since Warner Brothers fired Johnny Depp. And so they're like, so it looks like they're not going to be recasting Grindelwald, which will be very interesting to see how they go with that plot line. But there's also apparently a Hogwarts set series that will be coming to HBO Max. So HBO Max, are we going to do the thing again that we've done for a while? Sponsor us.
Yes,
you know?
sponsor us, HBO Max.
Yeah.
So we can all have HBO Max subscriptions because they have stuff I want to watch but can't afford to pay the monthly subscription.
If you want to HBO, then we'll just add a whole new segment after news about just HBO.
HBO stuff,
What's going on with HBO Max?
Because, I'm a college student. I don't have that much money for a bunch of subscriptions.
I know I'm taxed. I'd have to give one up, and HBO Max is $15 a month, which is more than any of the ones I pay right now. And it's just like, there's so much cool stuff, but it's so much money, and I don't have a job. I have a job, but not one that pays me enough to do that.
I apparently have to pay for Paramount Plus now, so I'm on their $5.99 plan because they were like, "Oh, you want to access CBS to watch your shows? You have to pay money." And I was like, "Listen, you better sponsor me too." So Paramount Plus, you want to sponsor me?
All right, we just need to.
And
those of you listening right now,
Yeah.
You need to start sharing the podcast, so we can get more views, so we can like start actually making like bargaining deals with all these big subscription services. So like, hey, we'll talk about your stuff. Just let us watch it for free.
Exactly. Like, you want good reviews or honest reviews? We're here
Yeah,
for
you
it.
want honest reviews where we just talk like great things about all your stuff and like how intuitive your user interface is and all this stuff.
All right. So, my final news. As many of you know, I've been following closely with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard things that are going on. I am mad at Warner Brothers for firing Johnny Depp and not doing anything with Amber Heard. But I saw this rumor and it piqued my interest, and I've been trying to find like a really good source to say if this is true or not. But I've seen it like 3 different times. Not saying that it's completely true, but I'm sitting here going, please let it be true. Amber Heard has reportedly been fired as Mara from Aquaman 2. Why? Because apparently she broke some contract thing that has to do with like her diet and like health and stuff and like working out. So whatever her contract was with Warner Brothers for Aquaman 2, she apparently breached that contract, which means that she's fired, which means, I'm okay with that. But I'll keep y'all updated because, yeah, like I said, that's like my big thing right now. And Warner Brothers might get some of my patronage back if they decide to actually fire her, even if it's not for the reasons that I say that she should be fired. But yeah, so that is all of my geek news that I've got for today.
Gotcha. So for those of you listening or watching when this is released on Monday, we know that WandaVision has technically come out since we filmed this podcast. But WandaVision has not come out at the time of the recording of this podcast. Otherwise, that's 100% what we would be talking about. Our episode next week will be on season finale of WandaVision, hopes for, whatever the season finale brings to the MCU, next parts, and then hopes and dreams for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But as of today, we had some important news coming out last week, news that I've been waiting for years. We had a about 20-25 minute Pokemon Direct given to us last Friday that gave us, a couple bits of news. I know all of us have watched it at least once. I have watched it multiple times. And we're going to just, run through, what was revealed in this Pokemon Direct, kind of like our hopes and dreams for the games that were revealed and how we really hope they are going to turn out. So we'll start with we'll start with the least important news of the Direct that they also started with. We got our final look at Pokemon Snap, which I thought looked really good. Like, I'm very excited. Like,
it looked really serene and like you could just get lost in that world. Yeah.
Like, it looks like the most calm game that I've ever seen on the Switch. This brings me back to, like, obviously Pokemon Snap is like a N64 game, but like this takes you back to like the DS era where everyone was playing like Nintendogs or Cooking Mama, where it was like, I'm doing this for fun. Like, or I guess Cooking Mama's a little more intense, but like Nintendogs is just, I play with my dog, and I was just like, I take pictures of Pokemon in the wild, and I'm so excited for it.
I will say, as I watched that was probably the only one that like really looked like something I would get into. Like, I'm not much for the battling or anything, or like just trying to catch them. I was like, I could do the pictures and like try and get all of that stuff. Like, I could do that.
And we could take cute photos of Venusaur.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that Venusaur that like dove into the water. It was like, wow. And like the thing is, so far, Pokemon Snap has like the most dynamic animations of Pokemon, like of any game. But no, and I'm kind of excited because it'll be more of like a game of just like living in the world of Pokemon, and not just looking at like the battling side of it. And I think that's pretty cool.
Because Pokemon are friends too.
and they live out in the wild. And if you get to capture a rare picture of them, and you get lots of stars, and then lots of people can like your pictures too.
Yeah, the social component that they revealed.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they'd like mentioned that there was going to be like online stuff, but like I feel like that. I feel like last year it was like Animal Crossing summer. This year it'll be like Pokemon Snap summer. I don't think it's gonna be that big. It's not going to be as big as Animal Crossing New Horizons, but I feel like there will be enough of like people on there that are like, look at all these photos I took. Yeah. So my big question though is how many Pokemon are actually going to be like available to see in there? Just because there's almost 900 Pokemon now.
Well, and also like the video that they showed of the game, it didn't really seem to go into like mountains or anything. Like it just kind of stayed by the water and like by like a foresty area. And I was like, aren't there Pokemon like up in the mountains or like in the desert? And can you get to those areas is my question. And
yeah,
I'm sure they'll have more biomes.
Because I wonder how gameplay is going to be. Like, is it going to be just like a giant free roam world? Or is it going to be more like today you'll be going into the desert and then like you'll go into the desert and then it's like maybe like you take enough pictures of Pokemon to get enough points to where like you complete that level or something. I don't know.
That's how it worked in the original one. So that's my assumption is like you start off with like the basic area where you get like common Pokemon. You can't get as many rare photos. And then like by the time like if you get enough like good pictures and you take pictures of all the Pokemon you can see in that area, it lets you move on to the next area.
I will say one thing that I didn't necessarily like, and like my roommate and I were talking about this too. They showed that like you could do picture editing, so like you could put on like stickers on the picture. I was like we're both like the one that they showed of like the moon with the stars. It was like you can tell that that's not part of the picture, and then adding the frame, it was like you don't really even know what the picture truly is anymore. And I get that they were just trying to show you like what you could do, but I was just kind of like, if you want to try and get a rare picture, like I understand like cropping and like doing like a portrait type thing or like trying to make it just focused on whatever you're trying to get the picture of. But like adding all this extra stuff just kind of defeats the purpose of trying to get the picture of the Pokemon, doesn't it?
But I'm sure that
go ahead, Isaac.
That like, certain generations of people, like maybe kids will just really enjoy decorating, putting little stickers on their favorite Pokemon that they took a picture of, stuff like that.
It also reminds me of the aesthetic of like the Pokemon contests, where it's not quite like make it actually the prettiest Pokemon you have, but like sometimes make it like look insanely goofy, and that could be really fun. So I feel like from what they showed, it's just like they showed like a really basic editing tool you could use. I think like you can actually get more creative with it in the game based on like all of the options they seem to have that they didn't use. So, but really in the Pokemon Direct, that was all it. Like we just got like a quick like overview of Pokemon Snap. We knew it was coming out. We'd gotten like pretty like details before. We'd seen some gameplay. This just looked like the final polished version, and I'm very excited for it. I will be purchasing probably week it's released. No promises, Nintendo. I do have to have the money to do that. However, you got me hooked.
Yeah, and Nintendo, if you want to sponsor us.
Yeah, so we just keep throwing this word sponsor around, but like if anyone does actually want to sponsor the podcast, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'd love to start doing ads, not because I want to like put ads like in the middle of the podcast. I know for listeners that can be like annoying, but like I feel like I have a really good like sales pitch voice, and I want to try it out. Now, on to something that was a little more what I was anticipating. The meat and the potatoes of the Pokemon Direct. We are getting Gen 4 remakes. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl will be released later this year, probably around the November holiday like release date time, maybe like late October, depending on how well development is going. But we got a quick trailer for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, showing like the updated graphics of like the classic cities in the Sinnoh region, a different design style for this one than the original one. It doesn't look like Sword and Shield, but it doesn't look like Let's Go either. But we're still getting it on the Switch, and it looks, the words they used were a faithful remake of Diamond and Pearl. So I was just wondering, initial thoughts before I get into some deeper questions on these.
I've seen some people complaining about the style of graphics they're going with, like that almost like chibi style. But I mean, like when you're playing a normal, 2D Pokemon game and you look down at your screen, you are just like a little tiny head on a little body. And so I don't know. I'm okay with it. I think it looks pretty cool.
I didn't get the complaints. I thought it was cute. I'm like, sure, it doesn't have to like be this like big monstrous thing. Like the Pokemon still look like Pokemon. The characters are just like they look like they go ooh ooh instead of rar. Like
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Also, I'm so excited to see Cyrus and Cynthia in like the Shimi form. It's like I don't think I can take Cyrus seriously if he's in the Shimi form, which is probably good. But I'm just like imagining it's reminding me of like that meme of like Keanu Reeves where like there's full size Keanu Reeves and there's short Keanu Reeves. I'm just waiting for like Cyrus to be like the short Keanu Reeves.
I will say, like, I heard the titles and I was just like, could you be any more creative with them? Like,
it fits with how they've done Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, like
I mean,
Fire Red Leaf Green.
It fits. I'm just like, wow, those are some kind of boring titles there. But
I think brilliant is the one that kind of throws me off because this is like it's a big word to add onto something. But I mean, they had to differentiate.
Yeah.
I always thought that like my predictions were going to be, if I had to like say titles before they were announced, was going to be Adamant, Diamond, and Lustrous Pearl based off the Adamant and Lustrous orbs from the games.
Why weren't you in charge of naming it? Because like that I can see it. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. But Brilliant Diamond, I'm just like, okay, so we got another diamond thing. Like, and
yeah. So Game Freak, if you want to sponsor us and hire Brendan.
No. Oh, dope. Then I get like a full-time job. Yeah, but like that, I think the reason they didn't do that is because that was like definitely in like not fan fiction, but like that was in like the fan base was like, this was the title that like, hey, this is what you should name it, and they're like, we can't name it just because that's what they want to see. But overall, like with the trailer, like honestly, no notes. I'm very excited. I've wanted Gen 4 remakes since like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out. Like I played that and I'm like, I want this in the Sinnoh region because Sinnoh region was my first experience with Pokemon. And I was very, very like, I'm like, if they're doing this, like it wasn't just like, oh, Heart Gold, Soul Silver because we got to go back to Johto because that was like a classic and stuff like that. But no, they're like keeping on the remake trends.
I got like Animal Crossing vibes when they showed like in the house originally, like the character in the house. I was like, wow, this feels like Animal Crossing. And then they went out and there were a bunch of houses and all the flowers. And I was like, wow, more Animal Crossing. So I feel like Animal Crossing, the graphics look similar. So maybe you want to check it out. I'll hype that up for anyone.
Because really graphics is all we like majorly got. We got to see some of the cities. Yeah. We got to see some of that stuff. I noticed that we did not get to see is like real gameplay. We didn't get to see battles. We didn't get to see wild encounters. And we got to see some routes, but part of me is a little concerned just because I don't like the Let's Go formula in the, like, I don't want the Let's Go formula in the remakes. Like I'm fine with the Let's Go catching formula where it's just like Pokemon Go on the Switch. Yeah, that's that.
Real quick for non-gamers, can you explain what you mean by route and Let's Go?
So routes are just areas in between like the major cities. So like you catch Pokemon in the grass on the routes, and most of your trainer battles happen there. That's where you do a lot of training. And the story missions usually take place in the cities. It changes a little bit like game by game, but the Let's Go formula for Pokemon like borrows a lot from Pokemon Go, where it's like you're not battling the Pokemon in the wild, they're spawning in the overworld, so you can see them before you go in the grass. And I liked the kind of mix of that in Sword and Shield, but when they said faithful remakes, I was like, all right, it sounds like we're getting the traditional like battle formula and catch formula, where you battle wild Pokemon, you battle trainers, and you don't really see Pokemon in the overworld. And we didn't see any of that. So I was like, okay, could be that, could be not that. I won't complain as long as we can battle wild Pokemon.
Animal cruelty.
Yes.
Like some of the gameplay that I saw, they made it look really easy to just catch the wild Pokemon, and I was like, after watching people struggle with Pokemon Go, it is not that easy to catch a Pokemon. Like sometimes, okay, you might get lucky and just catch them on the first try, but otherwise, like it takes a little bit, especially if you have to like battle them or something. At least,
Well, in the full-on battle, it's a bit more of a technique because generally they won't run like they will in Pokemon Go, but you have to deal damage to them and like or do status conditions and everything like that. So that's I feel like there's a little more strategy and technique to that. But also I think with the remakes, especially with the like graphic style, they're not necessarily aiming for like the older audience they're getting with nostalgia. The graphics and stuff is for younger audience. So I could see the simplified gameplay that comes with Pokemon Go and Let's Go being incorporated into the game. But as long as they at least do what they did in Sword and Shield, then I will be happy.
Mm-hmm.
which for people who are still on the Marvel mindset, Sword and Shield, not Marvel. The
Not
games,
Marvel. The
Pokemon
Generation 8 Pokemon games. So
Yeah.
I guess we're still in Generation 8, but like the Galar Generation 8 region games. So, I mean, that's kind of like what I was hoping for. But Isaac, I know you also like were really into the Gen 4 games. What are you looking for most out of this?
Well, because did the video show any battling at all, right?
We got a little bit,
little
but not like the whole like move, like how like moves are set up. We got to see like attacks being done, but that was about it.
I don't know. I'm just excited for more, some better, maybe just like better, not better battling, but you know, like sometimes, you know, you get so used to just seeing like a picture in a picture and then it's like tackle, you know, sorry, I held my hands up and I just slid them toward each other, but I do want some more dynamic. And so I'm kind of excited for, hopefully they make it more dynamic battling, but also I love the older games, you know, like the first 4. I mean, and I'm just kind of excited to get that maybe newer generations that didn't play them to be able to play them.
Mm-hmm. Like ones that started with X and Y or Sun and Moon, definitely. Hope, do you have any expectations or like anything for the game?
I expect them to be like a little bit more intense than they showed in the video, just because it seemed like very laid back, and from like just what I know from friends talking about it in the past and everything, like that it can get intense. At least with like the battles and stuff, because I know I've had friends that are like, no, dang it, like, you know, screaming at their little console because they just lost a battle or because things didn't go as planned. But like the video, it just was like, oh yeah, you're going for a stroll. Oh, you happen upon a wild Pokemon. All right, here, let's battle it. And like, I was like, wow.
Well,
okay.
I did notice specifically, like they didn't show any area of the map in this preview that would put us past the 3rd gym.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we got past Eterna City, personally.
Give definition of that, please.
Sorry, this is stuff.
Okay.
My bad. So in Pokemon, like your goal is to become the champion. In order to do that, you have to beat the 8 gyms in the region. Gyms are like, and each gym has a gym leader who's just a really good trainer. So as you progress through the game, you get gym badges from beating gym leaders. And the harder areas are available to you after you beat gym leaders. So we really only saw the easy areas because we didn't get past the 2nd gym leader. So we saw like the town you start in, the town with the first gym, which is Orberg City, and Eterna Forest, and the town with the 2nd gym, which is Eterna City. That's really what we got. Like really that's only like a quarter of the map, and that's the easy quarter of the map. So as things progress, as we get more gameplay, I think we'll see a little more complex gameplay, a little more like exciting stuff. But based on what they said, faithful remix, I think the main story will be the same up until beating Cynthia at the the champion. And I think that'll basically be the same. I don't think there will be many changes. There might be some side plot changes. I really hope we get Looker back and the International Police taking on Team Galactic. I thought that was really fun. But since this is Diamond and Pearl remake and not Platinum remake, something that I'm really hoping for, if you played Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, there was something called the Delta episode, where it was basically like, all right, we're not remaking Emerald right now, but we know Emerald is a thing, and we want to do a little homage to it, where there's a whole storyline where you go catch Rayquaza, the legendary Pokemon of Pokemon Emerald. I want them to do something similar here, but with Giratina, the legendary Pokemon of Pokemon Platinum, where we get like let's see, not the Delta episode, but like the Distortion episode, where we get to go into like the Distortion world, the special map of Pokemon Platinum, and we get to fight Giratina and hopefully catch Giratina. I was hoping for something with Arceus, but like something tells me that we're not going to get an Arceus related episode just because of what came later in the Pokemon Direct. But that's like that's my biggest hope, is that like we get like a post game focused on Giratina in like the 3D graphics. We get to see Distortion World in the 3D graphics, because I think that would be really, really cool. Because my first playthrough of Platinum, going through that and getting like Cyrus getting pulled into the Distortion World by Giratina and going like following him and doing that whole thing was really cool, even in the 2D on the DS. So doing that in 3D on the Switch on my TV, with in my room with like get whatever speakers and like just like really get into that, I'd be so excited.
Lock your girlfriend out of the room so she can't distract you.
No, she stays with me. She's good moral support.
And Hope, in case you don't know,
Yes.
With almost every Pokemon generation, I say almost, they would release 2 games together, and then they would release a third game that had something slightly different. I mean, they're all different, and there's different Pokemon in each, and that's the whole reason, was so that you could play with your friends that had a different game, and you could trade to try to get the whole Pokedex. But it's like in and so like there was Ruby and Sapphire, and then with 2 different legendaries in each game, and then they brought in Emerald with the 3rd legendary, Rayquaza, who's the best. And so that's just, I don't know, that's what's going on there.
I realized that, like, other than Arceus,
Arceus.
Arceus.
I don't know how we actually pronounce it. I've always been Arceus.
Arceus, however you want to say that.
Just call him God.
Yeah.
That they didn't like hype up getting like the shiny versions of Pokemon, or like extra legendary versions. That's a thing, right? I'm not being...
So shiny is a different thing from legendary. Legendary, like you get that Pokemon in the game, generally, but they're just like in the myth and lore of the Pokedex, like there's one. It like has a special place in the universe. Like and Arceus, however you want to pronounce it, is like Pokemon God, like the Pokemon that created all other Pokemon.
And like the world. So
yeah,
what even are humans?
Exactly, except for Pokemon that enslave other Pokemon. That's a legit fan theory. Is that we don't got to get into that. But then shiny. So shiny Pokemon are Pokemon that are just a slightly different color from their normal counterparts, and there's like a one in like it depends on how you're playing the game, but like generally it's like 1 in 4,000 to 1 in 6,000 chance that you get one. I'm currently shiny hunting a Lotad in Pokemon Sword. Well, shiny breeding. You can't find Lotad in Pokemon Sword, but that's the one I've been playing. So I got a Ludicolo, and I've been trying to get a shiny Lotad.
Yeah. So with shinies, they were introduced in the second game, and that's the only game I'm pretty sure that had a default shiny, and that was the red Gyarados in the game.
Gen 5 had one too. You get a shiny Haxorus.
Okay. See, and but yeah, like they are like in the world of Pokemon, they're pretty darn rare. It's kind of funny though, because for like the first few hundred Pokemon, they kind of like did this system where it's like if it was a certain color, it would like put in this like code, and then it would become another color. But because of that, like half of Gen 1 shiny Pokemon is just like ugly puke green. Like the Machamp line, they just turn ugly green. Cubone turns ugly green. And it doesn't, like, I don't know, I'm colorblind already. And so, like, I don't know how many shiny Pokemon I actually found in the wild. And then I just, like, didn't actually realize it. But puke green stands out.
That's fair. Like, it was just something that popped into my head of, like, that minimal amount of knowledge that I have on Pokemon that I was like, wait, they didn't really talk about this. And I thought that was a big thing of Pokemon. So that's why I wanted to ask.
Mm-hmm. No, there was definitely a lot of information held back. This was just kind of the announcement. We'll definitely be getting more stuff probably through the summer on like details of everything. There's a lot more we could speculate on too, but there was another announcement that I'm actually more excited for. So I have one more question on Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl for you guys. The starter Pokemon of the Sinnoh region are Piplup, Turtwig, and Chimchar. Who's your choice?
Piplup.
Piplup.
Turtwig.
Okay, Turtwig's my second favorite. But I'm just a big fan of Empoleon. I just think it's he's a mixture of Napoleon and Emperor. I think it's hilarious. And he's got a cool trident head. So cool.
Empoleon's kicking butt in my Pokemon Go team right now, taking on Landorus. But Turtwig was my first Pokemon ever, so it's near and dear to my heart. So I've got that. Okay.
Piplup is also just fun to say, like Squirtle. Just say Piplup. Piplup. Like, that's just... It's like when people say beep boop, and then you like plug your nose and say sneep snoop until you're happy. Like, I feel like you could just go between saying Squirtle and Piplup and just become happy from saying it. So
I feel like each of the types of starters have a certain aesthetic associated with them because I tend to choose the grass starter every time.
Yeah, except for Snivy. I don't like that guy.
Snivy's my favorite, honestly.
I'm so sorry.
No, between Oshawott, Tepig, and Snivy, I like Snivy.
Bulbasaur is my favorite starter of all time.
Bulbasaur.
Love Bulbasaur.
I'm holding up a Bulbasaur to the screen for those viewers at home.
Yeah, that little bulb on top took so much stuffing. Like, you would empty the machine of stuffing just trying to stuff up Bulbasaur. It's kind of ridiculous.
And then the last bit of the Pokemon Direct. Sorry, Hope, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just like insanely excited about this one. We are getting our first open world RPG Pokemon game with Pokemon Legends Arceus. The basic premise is you're in like feudal Sinnoh, so like before the events of like Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, like it seems like before the events of any of the Pokemon games, and like there's like this one town that people have settled in Sinnoh and like traveled to from other regions, and it's kind of like your job to just go exploring around there, and it's like kind of the it looks like it's just a big wild area, like from Sword and Shield. But it looks really similar, like to the map style and art style of
Breath of the Wild.
Zelda Breath of the Wild. So that looks so good. But like you still catch Pokemon, you're still like doing wild battles, you're still doing all this stuff. It's still a Pokemon game, but it's a complete like shift in genre. And apparently the whole story is like going around the like mythology of Arceus, the Pokemon god, which is why I don't think we're getting an Arceus story arc in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but this is way better. We get a whole game devoted to Arceus. So, initial thoughts on that?
I am so excited. I mean, just like in the trailer, you see the characters who look very similar to their Diamond and Pearl counterparts. They're like, you can roll, you can like tuck and roll, like and dive, and it's very Zelda-like. And I'm just like, I don't know. I've always wanted a free roam game like that. I mean, I know that technically all Pokemon is free roam because you can.
But you're limited by like the shape of the route and the map and everything. Like,
but
this is like
this game looks like you can just climb
go
mountains.
wherever.
Yeah. I'm so excited. It just looks so cool.
I think this one answered my question of like being in the mountains and snow and everything. The that like the other ones didn't fully answer because they were in like grasslands, foresty areas, but like this one was like, no, we're in the mountains and it's cold and there's snow, and I was like, all right, so here's the rest of the world of Pokemon and everything else. And like it did seem, maybe I'm getting them confused, because they showed like 3 videos one after another, so like it got really confusing for me for a minute. But the fact that they were like, no, here's more world of Pokemon and like where you can find different Pokemon. Also, you're trying to find like the god of Pokemon, like, you know.
Yeah, that's this.
Here's what you get to do.
I'm most excited for it because like there's this like weird like history and lore in the Pokemon universe, like that because it's a kids game they can't really explore. Like they can like hint at it and it's like, oh, this cool thing, you get fan theories and all this stuff. And Sinnoh's like one of the most like mythologically like rich, like they hinted a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of really things that suggest like this expansive Pokemon history in the Sinnoh region. And I'm so glad that they're doing this game here. Just because like thinking about like old Mount Coronet, like back in the time when like probably like Spear Pillar was like, oh, that's the top of Mount Coronet. That's like where you summon the legendary Pokemon in the games. That like that's probably more like active, quote unquote active. We get to see like early Snow Point Temple where Regigigas is. I like that's what I'm most excited for, is like explore that and probably like see and fight and have this whole story arc behind Regigigas as well. And then like an untamed Pokemon region that isn't settled by cities. Like you have one town that seems to be your base, and there might be they didn't explain this, but like there might be other settlements around too. But like you are like, yeah, I know you are imposing your order on the Pokemon world, and this is a brand new experience we haven't seen before. And I'm so excited to do something like that because one of my favorite parts of Pokemon is thinking about like, oh, like there was this Pokemon War, like they did this ultimate weapon, like there's like a whole multiverse of Pokemon, and like does this tie into like this main like multiverse arc of Pokemon? Like there's like a canon timeline, but like there's a lot of confusing stuff, and I'm like, is this going to answer questions about like legendary Pokemon backstories? Is this going to answer questions about like how things got to where they are in the Sinnoh region in Diamond and Pearl? Are we going to for those of you watching, are we going to see this statue built for the legendary Pokemon in Sinnoh that we find in Eterna City? Are we going to like see where the cave that Cynthia's grandmother shows us in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, like that has the whole cave drawings of the lake guardians? I know there's a lot of mythology, but like there's a lot of mythology in Sinnoh. So like, are we going to be able to see the origins of this stuff? Is there going to be more backstory? Are we going to delve into it? And like, there's not going to be the distraction of the gym challenge to like divert from that. Like that's going to be the main story.
Yeah. And because you're building. They said like the first Pokedex, whether or not that's the first Pokedex for the region or the first Pokedex ever. Which Bulbasaur is number 1 on the national Pokedex. So. But I'm just like, because I want, like in every other Pokemon game, you capture a Pokemon and in the Pokedex, it gives you like a little description and it like a little thing. And so I wonder if in this game you capture these wild Pokemon, and I wonder if you just bring like, it's like question marks, and then you bring it to the Pokemon professor, and then like you see him like writing the description for the Pokemon, like those Pokedex entries. So I'm wondering if like that's how we're gonna get going, because we can't just instantly, unless you yourself are the one jotting it down.
Unless you're the one. Like, is this like a paper Pokedex? Are you filling this out like as you go along? That would be really cool. Like that aesthetic change. Also, like in the wild, it seems like you can just throw the Pokeball. You don't have to like get in like that fight.
Yeah, it was like he was like so aiming. Cool. Yeah. Also, it would be cool to see starter Pokemon in the wild. Like they're not domesticated as easy Pokemon to train for trainers. Like it was literally like a wild Piplup that we saw walking around, and so like that'll be cool.
But we do still get a starter, but it's not the traditional 3 from the Sinnoh region. We get Rowlet, Cyndaquil, and Oshawott.
Yeah,
which like clearly some of these people have come from Alola, Johto, and Unova. So like there's gonna, if these people are like immigrants in the Pokemon world, we're gonna get references to like feudal, Kanto, feudal Johto, feudal like Galar probably too. And I'm so excited for this like prehistory period of Pokemon. Like as much as like it's supposed to be like a children's game, like this lore I'm like is so understudied and like under canonized. And I'm just so excited that we get a whole game devoted to it.
And Gen 2 has always been my favorite, so I'm just really happy that Cyndaquil's in there because I love Cyndaquil.
Wait, Gen 2 or Johto?
Okay, Johto, but I mean I grew up playing the original Pokemon Silver. That was my game.
Okay.
But I mean Johto region I love. I love those games because A, they introduced breeding, and B, you could play through them, and then you could play through all of Kanto, and then you could challenge Red on the top of the mountain, and it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. See, I always liked Heart Gold and Soul Silver because I felt like the original games like that, they were what they were, but like I feel like the Johto Pokemon aren't that like compared
Tread
to like, some
lightly.
other.
Just kidding.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sinnoh has some of the same issues, except like because they have a lot of like evolutions of Pokemon in previous generations, but that previous generation is mostly Johto, and I feel like the evolutionary lines like feel weirdly incomplete without the Sinnoh ones, just because like Murkrow doesn't have Honchkrow until Gen 4. Like, what are other Pokemon? Like Gligar is just by itself; you don't get Gliscor. Togetic, like I can't imagine it just ending with Togetic.
Okay, well, I will say I love Togetic. Togetic is one of my favorite Pokemon, and then once it loses its arms and becomes Togekiss, I get a little bit upset. But I do like Togekiss too. No, but yeah,
oh my gosh,
that's a good point.
I'm so sorry. I just forgot something I wanted in Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl that like I need to mention. I can't believe I forgot this. I need Mega Evolution back in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Mainly because I want to see Cynthia use Mega Evolution under Garchomp. But like I've been missing Mega Evolution ever since they took it away, from Gen, the Let's Go games in Gen 8. And I think now's the perfect time to bring it back and then introduce some new Mega Evolution Pokemon, because I think Mega Evolution was one of the best, things that they introduced into Pokemon in like a little while. I thought that was a really cool game-changing dynamic, and I want them to bring it back. Sorry, just a quick retreat. If anyone has any comments on that, go for it. But like, I need Mega Evolution back in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Any questions, comments, concerns on that? If not, I specifically don't want it in this game. I don't want Gigantamax. I don't want Z moves. I don't want Mega Evolution. In Pokemon Legends Arceus, I kind of want it to be like, I want the battle mechanics to be more difficult, but I don't need this like extra layer to it, because I think based on the art style that this one will probably be for more like it's not just nostalgia. Like there's like it's a more difficult game just based on like how everything's looking.
Mm-hmm. I know it's like not that big of a deal, but I want to be able to customize my character a little bit. I don't know, especially if like you're gonna be running around and seeing your character. I like the idea of like customizing, especially even if it's like Breath of the Wild, where it's like if you're in a colder area that you put on a coat, and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, in Sword and Shield, they had like the boutiques you could go to. Is that like you want more than that?
Okay,
or,
well, I
like,
mean, I would like that, but I was, I'm just looking at all the trailers. It didn't show anything about changing appearance. It was just the same boy and the girl. Who are pretty much just the Diamond and Pearl people as well, but older.
Dawn and Lucas.
Yeah.
Which I want to know if that's like, if they're going to mention that. Because obviously like Dawn and Lucas are not going to be around for like a while, but like, are these like the legendary heroes? And yeah, like the kind of like Link thing. It's not the same Link between games, but like it's still Link. So, then my final thing, Isaac or Hope, did you ever get the Arceus from GameStop transferred into Heart Gold or Soul Silver?
I did not. Hope?
Are you
You're asking the non-gamer if she did what with the what? The who?
Okay. Well, to contextualize it, in Pokemon games, sometimes there can be like events where you can get a special item by going to a certain place with your DS at the time. Okay. Or now if you do it with your Switch, and it'd give you either a special item or a special Pokemon. And when Heart Gold and Soul Silver came out, there was an event where you could get an Arceus. And if you brought Arceus to the ruins in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it transported you to a place called the Sinjoh Ruins, which is like a place in between Sinnoh and Johto. And there you could use your Arceus to summon a level 1 Giratina, Dialga, or Palkia. And then that was kind of it. It was just like, here's the Sinjoh Ruins. It's like it's the link between Johto and Sinnoh, and we don't know where it is. We don't know why it's there. And it's really weird. And I'm like, this better explain that. Because that was like a huge mystery that I just kind of threw in there, and then it's like, all right, we're done. I was like, excuse me. That's really interesting because we never see, besides Johto and Kanto, really like any connections between the regions. So I'm like, if you're going to connect Johto and Sinnoh, this is like, that's a big deal. So fingers crossed that like maybe the climax of the game, it's like, now we're going to build the Johto Ruins. Like we go to the Johto Ruins because it's the special place to summon, the legendary Pokemon. So,
or maybe it like zooms out at the end of the game and you see the entire continent and you see that there's Kanto and Johto, connected, because Kanto and Johto
are the canon Pokemon map
are right next to each other. And like they're both there's water to the south of both of the games. So they're like on the bottom of the continent. But then Sinnoh, isn't there water on the top? It's because it's like an island.
There's technically water beneath it too.
Yeah, well, there it is. But I don't know. And also, I just want to point out that America is a thing in the Pokemon world, because not only is in the Pokemon movie they found Mew in South America, but Lieutenant Surge in the Pokemon games, they do call him the American. And
the Lightning American. Also, in the first Pokemon movie, Jesse and James make a joke about the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
There's the popular fan theory is that the Pokemon world is our world post-nuclear war, and nuclear war is what causes Pokemon. Like they're just animals or inanimate objects or like types of people that got transformed by the nuclear radiation, and they just renamed the places because all the places that aren't destroyed by nuclear radiation are just places that we call regions. New York City is Unova, all the different areas of Japan are Hoenn, Kanto, Johto, Sinnoh, and then Kalos is France.
I just want to say, if you're going to make fun of any team or like any specific player of football, why not make fun of Brady and the Patriots or now the Buccaneers? Like, come on.
Well, at the time, they were dressed up as Vikings, and because they're trying to get to an island that Mewtwo made, and the team is like, I didn't know there were any Vikings in this area, and Ash just goes, they're mostly in Minnesota. And it's like, what?
And that was it. It was a throwaway line, but it's like, all right.
There it is.
Confirmed.
Lieutenant Surge also is like, I fought in the war, and then like ever since that first game, you're like, what war?
What war? But then Kalos is like the war with the ultimate weapon. But then it's like, nope, time wise, that doesn't work out because Lieutenant Surge wouldn't have been alive during that war. Yeah. So there are multiple Pokemon wars.
Dun dun, and they use the Pokemon. Like,
I know. That's why I'm talking all this lore stuff. I'm like, so is this game going to be the time that like AZ built the ultimate weapon? I'm sorry, for non-Pokemon fans, this is probably like the most confusing episode of the podcast, but like I got so excited for this, and there's still so much like speculation to do and everything. I won't go off the deep end on this. That's the big points that I wanted to say. I'm really excited to see more gameplay of both of these. If I could pre-order them now, I would. Like, just the concepts are like near and dear to my heart. And these are probably going to be my favorite games for a long time.
Yeah, and I guess one more thing about Legends Arceus that I was thinking about was, you are part of this like starter town, right? Or as far as we know. Mm-hmm. And so like you brought over, the professor brought over 3 Pokemon, which means that if there's other people in this town, they probably also have Pokemon from other regions. And maybe you'll have to do some Pokemon battles with people that have Pokemon. They're like, yeah, I'm from this other region. And you'll be fighting people from just, and I think that'd be pretty cool.
And maybe there'd be like precursors to Red, like something that looks awfully suspicious looking like Red. But also like, if this is the main town, like, are you going to find people in the wild to battle?
Yeah. And then in which case, what do they got? Like, they also have Pokemon? Because you're supposed to be building the Pokedex. So maybe you actually have to find other people that know about certain types of Pokemon. They're like, oh yeah, I've lived in this region for like the past 40 years and I'm really good with this Pokemon. I don't know. And then like that guy's like, yes, just write down.
That sounds so cool. I love the concept.
Wait, hold on. I'm having a generational problem. Because Drifloon was Generation 4, right?
Yes.
And Drifloon just takes children and floats away with them.
Oh yeah, Pokedex entries are creepy as heck. Yeah, Drifloon just takes children.
So we're gonna see some Drifloon, and they're gonna get Pokedex written about them for a certain reason.
I swear, if we do, that could be really funny. If we don't see a Drifloon like just taking a child, I'm gonna be a little upset.
Yeah.
I think that'll be funny. All right. Well, apart from like Sinnoh region origins, like I honestly couldn't have asked for like a better idea for a game. I honestly can't believe I didn't come up with something like that on my own, just like fantasizing and theorizing. But well, as always here on Raving Geeks, we like to end with some recommendations for our viewers, whether it be movies, video games, comics, or anything else geeky. So would either of you like to start?
I will say, for anybody that isn't super into Pokemon, but likes the idea of like finding all of them. So I wore my Stitch shirt today because Lilo and Stitch have a TV series for 2 seasons on Disney Plus. Both seasons are there. I double checked. Where they go and find all the experiments, all of Stitch's cousins, and so off-brand Pokemon, Disney version Pokemon, however you want to say that. And it's Lilo and Stitch is my favorite character. So, like, yeah, go watch Lilo and Stitch the series and all of the movies. You've got Lilo and Stitch 2, Lilo and Stitch the movie, Leroy and Stitch.
Stitch has a glitch, which I think was the second one.
Yeah. Yep.
No,
means family. And family means no one gets left behind.
or forgotten.
Also cute and fluffy.
That's not like you star.
Sorry, I gotta stop that.
That's fine. No, that was a fantastic show. Gosh, I'm getting flashbacks. The intro is bombing. It's just awesome. I used to like try and figure out like what was the coolest one, because I think like in episode 1 or 2 they have like the electric alien.
Yeah.
And I was like, this dude's so cool. Although my favorite will always be Experiment 625. He has all the abilities as Stitch, just not the motivation, and so he just makes sandwiches.
I love him.
Ruben.
Also, isn't there one that's like a love interest for Stitch,
Angel.
like the pink one? Yeah,
Angel.
But isn't she also his cousin?
It's fine.
Aren't they
They're
all
animals.
cousins? Like,
Technically. But like also there's like Leroy, who is the red evil version of Stitch. So I think my favorite from the series is the Pomeranian.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it? Wait, is it? Because isn't it just like it looks like a Pomeranian, or it's yeah.
And then it talks, and what's her name? The bully from the dance school. She's like, "Ew, you're all weird," and then her dog starts talking. I'm like, yes.
So perfect.
Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's hilarious.
All right. My recommendations are, well, in honor of International GM Day. Why don't you just play some tabletop role-playing games? Dungeons and Dragons, Call of Cthulhu.
Lords of Waterdeep is one that I've got. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons-esque board game, if you've heard of it.
What is
In the Forgotten Realms universe, because it's in Waterdeep. Why can't I think of... I don't know. That stuff. I've been watching... on Netflix, I've been watching The Haunting of Hill House, which came out 2019, I think. It's fantastic. It's horror. It's about, ghosts, roughly based on the book The Haunting, the original book from like the 1950s, which there have been 2 movies since then based after them, with one with Liam Neeson. It's really good and it spooks me well, and I go to bed at night and I'm like, I have to watch something cute and adorable so that I don't have nightmares. But I recommend it anyways.
All right, you made me think of something since you're going with March 4th GM. March 4th, as in you are marching forward for marching band. Look up Santa Clara Vanguard. And my favorite show on YouTube that I've seen them is their show Babylon. It is very good. So you look that up on YouTube and you can watch all 14 minutes of it. It's phenomenal. So that's my recommendation for marching band on steroids.
Nice. Alrighty, well, to continue with the Pokemon trend, if you didn't get that I like those games a lot enough from this episode, I highly recommend going, if you haven't played it, go see if you can pull out your old DS and find a copy of Pokemon Platinum. It's my favorite Pokemon game. I think it's one of the best ones. And it'll get you prepped for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I want to say Shining Sapphire because of the alliteration, but that's not right. But also, if you don't have a DS or don't want to go get Pokemon Platinum, a free mobile app that Pokemon developed called Pokemon Masters is actually a really, really fun game. I started playing at the beginning of quarantine. It's pretty addicting. It's like a power gauge based, turn based app, and it's like you get all of like these main characters from the Pokemon universe all on this one island, and you team up with them and you fight other people, like other main characters from the Pokemon universe. So that's really, really fun. And it's a lot of just Easter eggs throughout the whole thing. There's a story mode, but then there's also just like events. So it's pretty cool.
And doesn't Blue have he has a Pidgeot in that game, right?
Yes, he has a Pidgeot, unless you get a special, like, it was like an event form of him that he has Blastoise.
Okay, because I remember being so confused, and then I went through and replayed the games and realized he always has a Pidgeot, and I was like, well, that makes sense. But I'm like, I always had a Pidgeot, so I never pictured him with one. Yeah. All right. I'm glad that there's that he gets a Blastoise as well.
Mm-hmm. And they're like two separate characters because like the whole lore of it is like you have a sync pair, so like you have to be in sync with that Pokemon, so you get one Pokemon to fight in battles, and you have like three people that are battling each other at once. And then a non-Pokemon recommendation: if you haven't played the game Hellblade: Senela's Sacrifice, and you are into like kind of like creepy kind of horror games, this one was really, really cool. The main character has like they don't define it, but like has like some type of schizophrenia or schizoid personality disorder. So the whole time there's voices in the character's head, but like conflicting voices, and then some of them talk to you, the player. So like if you're playing this with headphones, it's really, really confusing. And like the premise is you're going to like hell with one L, like from Norse mythology, to try and get your decapitated lover's head reattached to his body. It's a really, really cool game, and I don't want to give too much away. They're also planning a sequel for it that there's a trailer for on YouTube that I highly recommend watching. Even if you haven't played the first game, there's no spoilers. But conceptually,
this episode, my dad is going to be like, how does Brendan have enough time to play all these video games?
I don't.
Video games, and then, work, and then school.
Yeah, and then my 3 majors.
And your girlfriends fit into there where?
Actually, she takes up most of my I choose to have her. She listens to the podcast, so I gotta be careful with what I say. But like, I choose to have her take up most of my time nowadays. But she also likes like playing video games with me, or so it's not like I can't ever play them. So it's very nice. Well, sorry, I'm out of breath. I'm still so excited about these games. But that's all we have for y'all today. Thank you for joining us here at Raving Geeks. Make sure to leave a comment wherever you're listening from. We love to hear from you, whether it's your thoughts about today's episode or thoughts about future episodes, or just like comments about geek culture in general. Also, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok at Raving Geeks. And yeah, that's really all we've got for today. As always, I've been Brendan Valentine, along with my co-hosts,
Hope Gooderell,
Isaac Hunter.
And as always, stay geeky and have a great week, everyone. Good night.